Welcome to the Euro Den, your cozy corner for all things Eurovision. Now, please welcome the Den master of this podcast, your host, Joseph Mendy.
We are now officially off to the races at Eurovision 2026. Sveiki everyone, it's Joseph Mendy here with another episode of the Euro Den as Eurovision week continues. In this episode, we will be reflecting on how semi-final 1 played out and look over the results. Who made it through and who was sent packing, and how did I do with my predictions of the qualifiers? All that to come right here. Are you sitting comfortably? Good, then we'll begin. Yesterday, that's Tuesday, we had the first live show of Eurovision 2026, the first semi-final. It opened with a film called Life of Tony, which followed the journey of a young boy who grew up with the Eurovision Song Contest from its humble beginnings in 1956 all the way up to the present day, during which many well-known Eurovision hits were featured. At the end of the film, we saw Tony on stage at the piano in the Wiener Stadthalle, as we went into a performance by Vicky Leandros singing her 1967 entry L'amour est bleu. Then came out our hosts Michael Ostrovsky and Victoria Swarovski. Victoria was dressed in a sparkling red glittery dress and Michael had a silver suit with a red undershirt. Then it was time for the real business of the evening, the participating countries. Just a reminder of the countries that performed. Those were Moldova, Sweden, Croatia, Greece, Portugal, Georgia, Finland, Montenegro, Estonia, Israel, Belgium, Lithuania, San Marino, Poland, and Serbia, with Italy and Germany holding their showcase exhibition performances. During the interval act, we had a funfair-themed performance from acrobatic show group Zucchero, who were the runners-up in the 2018 series of America's Got Talent, being beaten by magician Shin Lim. For those wanting to know, for those in the know. After the votes closed, we had a round of 12 points, the Eurovision quiz, with German commentator Thorsten Skorn and Swedish commentator Carolina Noren teaming up against Swiss commentators Nicholas Tanner and Victoria Turian. Team Germany/Sweden were the victors here, and side notes, Jedward competed for Ireland in 2011 and 2012, not 2021. Alice Michael, who was hosting the quiz, was wise enough to swerve past the error from the graphics team. For those who don't know who Jedward are, he's made up of twin brothers John and Edward Grimes, who compete well known for being parts of making the live shows in the in the 6th series of The X Factor back in 2009. Anyway, I digress. Finally, spotted a couple of yards away from mascot Ori, was last year's Australian act Gojo. He performed with Michael and Victoria in an act called Austria versus Australia, which featured a reference to Australia's surfing culture, the Austrian Alps, Alpine hills and mountains, the Viennese waltz, Reagan's infamous breaking routine from the Paris 2024 Olympics, and a twerking kangaroo? I'm not sure what was the thinking behind this, but it was certainly a very weird one. They wanted to explain the differences between Austria and Australia because apparently people get the two nations mixed up. Really? And don't get me started on Australia, whatever. No. I think many hundred Euro fans thought that was... But anyway, that was the whole show in a nutshell.
Come on in and get comfortable in the Euro Den.
Anyway, 2 hours, 22 minutes, 15 acts, 1 quiz, 2 interval acts, and 2 questionable outfit choices later on. Poor Michael. I mean, whose brighter is it to make him just like some knockoff Robin Hood, and then putting him in a what seems remnant of a Butlin's wet coat? Come on. Anyway, enough yabbering on about the Sheriff of Nottingham and yabbering on about a popular holiday resort in Britain. Enough about that. It was time to discover the results of the national juries and viewers' votes, which have been combined to give us the 10 countries that will be back on stage on Saturday. Let's run down that list right now in the order that they were announced. So the 10 acts going through to the grand final are Greece, Finland, Belgium, Sweden, Moldova, Israel, Serbia, Croatia, Lithuania, and Poland. So congrats to Akilas, Linda Lampenius and Petra Parkkonen, Asila, Felicia, Satoshi, Noam Batan, Lavina, Lelek, Lion Seeker, and Alicia. Those 10 acts will be back again on Saturday in the grand final, competing along against each other, and the automatic qualifiers: France, Germany, Italy, United Kingdom, and host country Austria. Now, what does that mean for the qualification streaks of the qualifiers? For Greece, they're now on a +3 qualification streak, making it 16 times now out of a possible 19. For Finland, it's 13 out of a possible 21 with a +6 streak. Belgium, having missed the last 2 finals, they're through for the first time since 2023 with Gustav, you'll remember, in Liverpool. For them, it's their 9th final in 21 attempts. Sweden, +16. We did the wrong thing. +12 for Sweden. A +12. And for them, it's 15 out of 16. I was reading off them for Ukraine, and they're performing in tomorrow's semi-final. What am I doing? Anyway, Moldova, first qualification since Pasha Parfeni in 2023. And for them, they'll be competing in their 13th final out of a possible 19. Israel on a +4 streak now, making it to their 13th final out of a possible 20. Serbia, first qualification since Teodora. They missed last year's final appearance, but they're back there tonight with Lavina. And overall, it's their 13th final in 17 attempts. Then Croatia missed the final last year, in the final this year, and they will be contesting their 9th final out of a possible 19 attempts. Then Lithuania on a +6 streak, just like Finland, but they'll be competing in their 14th final out of a possible 21. They have a higher qualification streak than Finland. And finally, Poland. And it's back-to-back qualifications, having made the final last year with Justyna Styczkowska. Alicia's qualification means that Poland will be competing in their 8th final out of a possible 19 attempts. As this includes this year's participation as well, hence the bumped up number of attempts. However, we say na 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 na, hey, goodbye. And I'm not much of a singer, as you can tell. Just wanted to quote Bananarama's hit song, which mentions the goodbye. But anyway, that's what we're saying to Estonia, Georgia, Montenegro, Portugal, and San Marino, because for them, they are eliminated. For Estonia, they lose their +4 qualification streak. Vanilla Ninja, finalists in 2005 with Switzerland, but couldn't do it for their homeland Estonia this year. Georgia, it's a second year in a row that they will not be in the Saturday final. Bezikabay, 2008 Junior Eurovision champions. But yet they're having to make like bees and buzz off, as they've not made it. Montenegro, they just cannot catch a break. Not even Tamara Zikovic could prevent Montenegro from going -7 in their streak. Portugal had a +5 qualification streak coming into this year's competition. But after Bandidos Tocante fell by the wayside, that streak is gone. And San Marino made the final last year with Gabri Ponte, well known for Blue Dabadi. But this year, not even Boy George could spare San Marino from heading back into the -1. And for all that Senhits tried, it just didn't work. I mean, what was the point of Boy George being there? It didn't line anyway. Anyway, for those 5, they are out of the running. But they will still have an important role to play, because in the grand final, all participating countries vote and have a say in deciding the winner. So even though they're now out of the running for the trophy, they can still play a key part in deciding who takes home the W on Saturday evening.
You can find the Euroden on Instagram. Just go to Instagram and search @Euroden_pod.
Here's how my predictions fared now. Prior to this show, I made a prediction on which 10 countries I thought will make it through to the final. And I done this in random order. So I remind you of my prediction now. It was Poland, Serbia, Montenegro, Croatia, Sweden, Finland, Israel, Lithuania, Moldova, and Greece. I can now reveal that I've got 9 out of 10 correct. So an almost perfect one. The only one I got wrong was that I predicted Montenegro instead of Belgium. Now, how many did the press and audience poll call? The press had these 10 going through: Greece, Finland, Moldova, Portugal, Sweden, Croatia, Lithuania, San Marino, Poland, and Serbia. But Portugal and San Marino both failed by the wayside. So 8 out of 10 for the ESC Extra press poll, and the audience poll. It was by ESC Gabe, 12 points from America, ESC Extra, ESC Insights, that's Eurovision Sites, Mercy Sherry Podcast, and vdan.design. These were the 10 that poll came up with. Moldova, Finland, Greece, Poland, Sweden, Croatia, Serbia, Israel, San Marino, and Estonia. As we already established, San Marino failed to qualify in place of Belgium. So again, it's like myself, a 9 out of 10 in terms of the number of qualifiers that the audience poll correctly predicted. Finally, after the show, the qualifiers plus Italy and Germany drew lots to determine whereabouts in the grand final they'll perform in. They could draw either the first half, that's slots 1 to 13, the second half was slots to 14 to 24. Technically it's 14 to 25, but slot 25 was already taken by Austria after random draw the head of delegations meeting back in March. Or they could draw Producer's Choice, which is introduced in 2024 and allows the producers to place an act that draws it absolutely anywhere between 1 and 24, compared to the first half, which are confined within the limitations of 1 to 13 and 14 to 24. These were the lots that were drawn. Let's go with the first half. In fact, no, we'll do it in the order that the countries drew their lots. So Germany have drawn Producer's Choice, as have Italy. Greece has drawn first half, So killers will perform one between slot 1 and slot 13. Finland, Producer's Choice. Belgium, first half. Sweden have drawn the second half. So Felicia will be in slots between slots 14 and 24. Moldova and Israel both drew Producer's Choice. Serbia drew first half. Croatia drew Producer's Choice. And Lithuania and Poland have drawn the second half. That will do it for today's episode. Quite an interesting and sometimes perplexing show we had on Tuesday. And you know something? We're only just getting started. Next up, it's semi-final 2, and I'll be here tomorrow night to preview that show. For now, follow the Euroden on Instagram at Euroden_pod for more content, and leave a review and a rating wherever you are listening if you wish to. Until tomorrow, as they say in Poland, do widzenia. See you later. Bye now.
That brings to an end this particular episode of the Euroden. Thank you for listening, and see you next time.